Hi guys, it's Franz again from Fractal Trading. Another week has passed. Let's have a look at what's happening. I was focusing in the last couple of weeks on the US dollar because a lot of forex pairs that involve this base currency as well as the US dollar index seem to be at interesting price levels, and as you can see on the screen right now, we are looking at the US dollar on a weekly basis. Just to clear the situation up, I talked about this the last weeks. We see a trend moving up. The balance zone moving averages are wide open, which indicates a trend is happening, and we do see some divergence developing as there is no more real steam left in this up move. As you can see, price comes back into this balance zone. It hits the dynamic support area again and again and again until it makes a new high, and you do really get this divergence in the momentum indicator. A new fractal is then created at the other side of the balance zone, and if you get a new high which doesn't really exceed the old high that much without price having any steam at all, plus this divergence that you see, another fractal forming on the other side just tells you that prices really have to breathe and correct this previous uptrend that you saw right over here. Even though it's quite a long time ago, you don't really have a sufficient correction where the momentum indicator goes below the zero line and you get a major pullback after this trend. And this is kind of what we are seeing right now, and this week supports this view that after this fractal cell has been hit, which means that support has been taken out, you get a retest of support by last week, and this week then comes right back to the opening price level of last week, which means that we are in a pretty corrective, or if you want, bearish territory, and prices are kind of bound to move down lower, which could mean that they hit this next very important support level indicated by this green line right here. There are more fractals in between this the current location of price and this next support level, which means that since we are in a correction, it's highly probable that prices are not going to simply move down, but are going to be more annoying and take longer until they actually reach that next support level. Okay, of course this is just a guess and I don't know what it's going to do, but since we are trading inside of an overall correction, let's have a look at that monthly chart here. You do not have prices below the balance zone on a monthly time frame, which means that the overall trend, if you were trading the daily or if you were trading on the weekly chart, is still up, or it has just finished. Yesterday was March 31st, and you just had the month finishing, the candle finishing for the month, and it closed for the first time during all of this up move inside of the balance zone, even though not very far, but the trend could be over. And what you're now doing on the weekly chart, if you are trading it, is simply trading inside of this correction, hoping for a significant move to the downside, however long it may take. We were also looking at the daily chart last week, and there we saw these majorly bearish bars, the one here, the one here, and today's bar is a similar one, even though not quite as bearish, where you see a long wick to the upside. Bulls were not able to keep this price higher. Instead, the bears won the fight at the end of this week, and you did have quite a down week. Therefore, this forex or this index is actually bearish to me, and I'm looking for it to hit this next support level right here. And as the US dollar is leading, we can also have a look at the US dollar yen. Looking at it on a daily chart here, we also see this bearish tendency. Prices have been below this balance zone, indicating a downtrend for quite some time now, and it has only been recently that you get prices bouncing into this resistance area. You get new fractals which mark the upper border of the resistance area right inside of the balance zone, really telling you that bulls are not quite in control of this forex pair as of now. At the end of this week you see lower prices as well. It's actually closing out at its very low for the week, but still you do get some divergence in the momentum indicator if you look at where prices are and how much steam is really left to send these lower. There will probably be a new low, and on the weekly it actually looks like there's going to be quite a bit of room left to the downside. But again, in the US dollar we are trading into a correction. We are not quite outside of the balance zone yet. As you can see here, this is the monthly chart of the US dollar yen. We are seeing it come down to the blue line, which is yet another dynamic support area, and it may be that we see a bounce here and prices are moving back, since the uptrend is still the dominating direction of or in this US dollar yen. What we are seeing is a correction, and we don't know how far it goes. It may hit this fractal area, but it's questionable if it's going to do it so soon. Again, if you're trading this pair, make sure you understand that overall it's in a correction, or it's trading inside of a correction, which makes for less stable moves. Now, having a look at the Australian Canadian for a pair that hasn't got going yet, but shows some interesting setup to buy. Now, in the US dollar Canadian, what you saw is a breakout fractal at this point, and it was actually hit here, right here, but price wasn't able to close below that breakout, and it wasn't even able to come back down below it. So what you actually have is a failure to move to the downside, followed by quite the impulsive move to the upside. A correction inside of the balance zone follows, and now you get another fractal up here, which kind of gives you the setup where price is moving higher. It corrects, but it doesn't come as low as before, and then exceeds the previous high, which is what happened here exactly. This is a monthly chart, of course, so we are not trading that, or it's not so interesting for most of us to trade. On a weekly time span, this does look a little bit more appealing. If you have a look at this, this is the point where price failed to really go down much lower, and now you get a weekly fractal up here with prices looking like they could move out to the upside. Momentum is increasing as well. However, we will see, or we will have to wait and see if this is really accompanied by a follow through. This fractal here though proves to be, or could be, quite a good buying opportunity. On the daily chart you see an equally nice picture. A trend, which was this weekly impulsive move after prices has failed to break down, was established. It ran up, it was quite stable and quite nicely running, and then you have this correction going down here with all the downside fractals not being profitable, because you are trading inside of a weekly balance zone. There is no trend. If you try to trade in this, it could be accompanied by quite some whipsaw trades. However, after this up move happened, you do get a correction to the downside, which doesn't go lower than the previous lows. So you get this setup, high, correcting it, but not going lower than the previous low, and now you get a follow through of that dominating trend here, and you get a fractal here, and you do actually have quite a few fractals all the way over here, and it's your choice which ones you like to buy. I always take the outer fractal because it marks the most important breakout zone. Even though towards the end of Friday prices retraced a little bit again, we will have to wait and see how long it will be before a breakout of this zone happens and you actually do get this buy signal above this fractal hit. let's have a look how next week is gonna go. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please let me know.